Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I'm just going to relax, get in my place of zen, work on a little bit of crafting here. I think a lot of the gamers out there will appreciate that term, crafting. But it really is crafting. It's old world craftsmanship and skill. So I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to talk about this ignoramus Nick Wright. And I think a lot of you guys see where this is going. Now, I looked into this earlier today because I had a subscriber tell me, hey, Nick Wright is up saying now that he's going to bring his grip out even wider after his previous shoulder injury because it helps with the pain and reduces his range of motion. I couldn't find that video, so if he made any such video, he's taken it down, or I just couldn't find it digging through his stuff. But instead, I found something even more interesting. And we're going to talk about this because you know what, guys? This is something I'm more and more committed to on YouTube lately. I used to always cover injury prevention, but I think now this is something I'm going to really put a lot of efforts into because somebody's got to do it on YouTube. We got so many of these clowns who are hurting themselves, hurting their audience, injury after injury after injury. Young guys, I mean, guys in their 20s getting hurt, seriously. It almost makes me wonder if anybody should get workout advice or lifting advice from anybody in their 20s at all, as many of these guys are hurting themselves. It's downright scary. I mean, it's downright scary. All the injuries, and I mean, Nick is no exception. Nick Wright literally has no clue what he's doing with training. He keeps hurting himself, and he's hurting people who listen to him for advice. And how else can I say it? Listen to him speak. The guy is stupid. He is below average intelligence. And that's fine. People who aren't intelligent can do a lot of useful things. They have other skills, but teaching people biomechanics shouldn't be one of them. So, I've started watching what he's doing, and I was shocked at what I actually did find. It's quite the opposite. Nick is now taking my advice. After he's hurt himself multiple times, now his shoulder injury is a whole other issue. Forget about all the back injuries and all this other stuff, just his shoulder stuff, which I've harped on recently. But he's taking my advice, and I notice, he doesn't give me credit for it, and that's something I want to point out. A lot of the bigger YouTubers do give me credit here. They all watch my stuff. They get ideas from me. Some of them at least will acknowledge it. The Hodge twins, Chris Jones, these guys will at least acknowledge it when they get some advice from me every now and then. Every now and then I get mentioned that, yeah, they learned some stuff watching my videos. I know Nick watches my videos, but he's not going to give me credit there, and it's because Nick joined in with some of the people who had personal vendettas against me a while back, and, he's not going to be able to come forward and admit after he did that he gets advice from me. But the thing is, here's the scary thing. Nick starts taking my advice after he gets hurt. After like a decade of training, multiple injuries, he hurts his shoulders, then he's going to take the advice I've been given for years on YouTube. For over 2 years, I've been telling you guys, one of the best ways, in addition to strengthening your rear delts, doing lots of face pulls, one of the best things you can do to prevent shoulder injuries is to do all of your pressing, all your chest pressing with a narrow grip. Keep that grip in narrow. Thumbs on the smooths. Even narrower than he's demonstrating now. Keep those thumbs on the smooth. It will, because you're having to push the weight through a longer range of motion. A really close grip bench press like that is going to build your chest and everything else just as much as a wide grip is, but it's safer on your shoulders. Yeah, you lift less weight, but I mean, guys can say what they want, but I'm not exactly lacking in the chest department. And I don't do a wide variety of chest exercises. I don't do anything wide grip. I don't do any chest isolation. Just not into those things. Although there is a genetic component and other stuff there, so I don't want to claim that that's purely due to my amazing training knowledge. No, I genetically have a big chest. So, but it is a factor there, of understanding that it isn't necessary to do those things. But yeah, you can build a big chest, and because you're moving the weight through a longer range of motion, you're going to build more overall strength with a lighter weight. But the big thing is that reduced chance of injury to your shoulders. A narrow grip is a shoulder saver, absolute shoulder saver. And Nick waits till he gets hurt to take my advice, knows it's my advice, of course isn't going to mention me. Now here's the problem though. Nick has hurt himself repeatedly. Continues to give advice, takes one little piece of my advice finally to help not re-injure himself, hopefully doing the same stupid shit he's been doing for a decade. And then all of a sudden it's going to be advice to help people. Well, what about all the other people you hurt already, Nick? What about all the people you hurt by giving piss poor advice and not knowing what you're talking about for all these years? Why don't you just tell them the truth, send them over to my channel so they can get all the injury prevention advice instead of one little piece as you personally learn it when you have to try it after you've injured each and every single body part and muscle group that you train incorrectly with your bad technique and bad training methods in piss poor form, instead of waiting till you injure yourself and injure 200 or 300 members of your audience and then take each piece of my advice. Why don't you just send them over here so that they don't get hurt to begin with? Because if these guys follow my advice, it's going to reduce their chances of injury 90-95%. You're going to have less people hurt, and then they can come back to your channel when they want to be entertained by you and your girlfriend and your antics and you guys goofing around and, just having fun. And they can come over here for the proper injury prevention advice and to not hurt themselves. And that would be totally fair. But instead, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to continue to give bad advice. You're going to continue to hurt people. You're going to continue to hurt yourself and basically prove over and over again that younger guys oftentimes don't seem to grasp the finer nuances of training. And that's okay. We were all young once, guys. Believe it or not, I used to be young also. And I made a lot of mistakes when I was a younger guy too, and I had to learn a lot of hard lessons in life. And all I'm trying to do with some of this is to tell you guys, hey, don't get your advice from younger guys like you who are still learning their lessons and getting hurt and getting injured. Listen to some older guys like me so that you don't have to hurt yourself to learn your lesson. I mean, you're going to be so much better off in the long term if you're not snapped up, you're not hurt, and you get advice from people who have been there and they know how this stuff works and they understand and have observed how people have been hurt many times over the years. And have hurt themselves. I mean, I've ripped a bicep off the bone. I'm not going to lie. I have nothing to blame but my own stupidity and ego for it. That's it. I have nothing to blame but my own stupidity and my own ego for that injury. And if there's anything I can offer to you younger guys is to say, hey, don't be stupid like I was. Be smart. Learn this stuff without hurting yourself. Don't listen to ignoramuses like Nick Wright or Jeff Side, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever the fuck his name is. Why listen to these guys and get hurt when you could take a little bit of advice from some older guys who've seen all of it, have studied the biomechanics of it, and learned their own hard lessons with observing themselves and observing others over the decades, and say, hey, how about I learn from these guys so that I don't make the same stupid mistakes they did? Instead of watching the younger guys who are still making the stupid mistakes and hurting themselves. Guys like Nick Wright, because, I mean, he's a complete ignoramus. The guy literally shouldn't be giving advice on anything. And, again, he should stick to just entertainment. And the Hodge twins do amazing entertainment on fitness, and they're making 7 figures doing it now. Great. There's a lot of success in that. And stick to the actual training advice to people who know what they're talking about so that you don't get hurt, Nick. So you don't hurt other people. But yeah, that's what you guys should do. Honestly, listen to the guys who can keep you from getting hurt. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from the mistakes I've seen guys make over the decades so that you don't have to be all snapped up and that you guys don't get set back, you don't get injuries, you don't have to have repair surgeries, and you can just keep making progress year after year. I mean, wouldn't that be great? I think that would be awesome if every single person who came to YouTube for fitness advice and training advice could get good advice, make progress over the years, and not hurt themselves. That's a win-win. You guys have nothing to lose by doing that. You have everything to lose by listening to complete ignoramuses and morons like Nick Wright and this what's his name, Trained to Look Good Naked Kid. I mean, these are guys who shouldn't be giving anyone advice at all. They really have no clue what they're doing, and it's scary that Nick, after a decade, is still just now barely learning the basics of not hurting himself. I mean, how many injuries is a guy going to have before he figures it all out and just says, maybe I should do some research on all these things ahead of time and quit trying to teach others so I quit hurting myself? I don't know. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.